Welcome to the Down a Difference, the podcast where we explore the stories and the people behind Downa's success. Through our discussions, we'll uncover how our high-performance culture drives outcomes, how we deliver for our customers, and support each other to enable communities to thrive. My name is Mary Donohoe, and I'm here in the studio with my co-host, Hélène Turi.
Today, we'll talk about the benefits of being laser-focused with Nicola Dorling, CIO at Downa. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Down a Difference podcast. I'm delighted to welcome Nicola Dorling into the studio today with Hélène.
Thank you for having me.
Nicola is our Chief Information Officer. And as you know, we're going to kick off our first question, which is helping to generate the Down a Difference summer reading list. Which book are you recommending to our listeners?
Okay, so the book that I'm recommending is by Jim Collins, and the title is Good to Great. And it's about the assessment of why companies with high performance never reach greatness. And it's a really interesting book where Jim assesses why high-performing companies grow complacent and then they just settle for good. And so for us in Downa, it's a really great book for us to really think about how we push our organisation from being good to being great.
Nicola, when you joined Downa, did you reflect at all on the Good to Great framework, and how did those frameworks resonate with your role?
Yeah, so the Good to Get Great book has got around 6 kind of key points that I always like to review when I start a new role, but I think they're good for any manager in an organisation to really think about. The first is to confront yourself with the brutal facts and the reality of where your team is at. And so when I came into Downa, it was about getting a baseline of how we were performing as a team. And, you know, you take up both the positives and the negatives with that. And then from there, you can start to really think about your vision, your mission, and your goals moving forward. The second one that Jim talks about a lot in the book is get the right people on your bus. And I think for me and for Downa Digital, that will be our key success. It's about having the right people with the right attitude, delivering the right work and holding ourselves accountable. The next one is around focusing on the intersect between passion, creating profit, and being proficient at what we do. Now, that sounds like a lot of management consulting speak, but really for us in Downa Digital, it was about getting cost out. Being proficient is about having the right skill set within the team and making sure that the people within the team are able to grow and develop. And then having the passion is the main thing. Having that change mindset and being curious is really what tips an organisation from good to great. So what do we really focus on? We focus on having the right depth and focus, and really having the ability to drive clarity through the team on why we're working on things and how they're going to support Downa to deliver.
I have a question in regards to focus, because when we did the preparation for that podcast, we talked about laser focus, because recently I think you've been seeing some football teams. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so from a focus perspective, I recently went onto a high-performing teams course. And we were talking about how football teams actually drive high performance. And it's really around making sure that everybody in your team has a role and that they're focused on their role. And so we do that a lot in Downa Digital. As you would know, with large technology projects, there's a lot of people needed to be able to deliver them successfully. And so for us, it's about making sure that we all focus on what our role is. So it might be my role to support the person who's kicking that goal. But if I do that and I do it well, then I've done a good job. In football teams, you know, you might not deliver the amount of goals that you want in any football match, but ultimately, if each player's done their job, then they could be high performing. The focus side of it for me is making sure that we don't have a scattergun approach. So we're focusing on the right projects for the right outcome. And then individually and personally, it's about having that laser focus. So whatever you're doing at whatever point of the day, that you're focusing on it and you're focusing on delivering a really good outcome.
It's actually very interesting. I was absolutely captivated by laser focus during our conversation. And I talked about that to my son, actually, and how he needs to be focused at school to deliver. And it worked. It got that. So I hope our listener will keep that in mind as well. Laser focusedness.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's about having the right mindset. So, being curious is what we need. Organisations that go from good to great really disrupt the industry, and you can't disrupt the industry just delivering status quo. So you've got to challenge yourself. So every day when you wake up, how do you focus on being better than the day before? And that has, one thing is about being curious, but the other is about discipline. Only you can push yourself to be better than you were the day before. So coming to work every single day and striving to deliver excellence as your pursuit. And if we all do that, then, the collective effort is something that moves us from good to great.
And again, on that, quick one, but waking up in the morning, that takes me to your morning routine. Because you're someone with a lot of energy. So how do you channel your energy through your morning routine?
Yeah, so channeling energy, I think, is something that, keeps you moving. And in our roles in Downer, wherever we are, whether we're on the front line or we're in the office, we got a lot of work to do on any given day. And some days we have more challenging days than others. And so for me, it's about being able to set myself up right for the day. So in the morning, I wake up and I'll often go for a run down the beach. I like to do it at sunrise, so I'm setting myself up right for the day. It gives me energy to get through whatever I've got to deliver in the day. And sometimes I go for a surf. So most recently, I've been training for my gold medallion. And about 7 weeks ago, I had no idea how to surf at all. And so for the last 7 weeks, I've been laser focused on making sure that I can rescue someone on a rescue board, which is, I must say, if I talk about having discipline and focus, that's something I've absolutely had to focus on to be able to get that one over the line.
When we last spoke, we talked about why did you start surfing? And I asked you, are you pushing for the adrenaline or is this around discipline? Can you tell us a little bit more about why you started doing?
Yeah, so I've got a daughter. I've probably spoken about her before on the employee webcast. Eva, and she's always pushing me to do better. If it's not trying to get me to run with her in a marathon, she went into nippers and decided to become a lifesaver. So I thought, well, how hard can this be? I'll give it a go. And I can honestly tell you it's probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done. So I passed actually last week.
Oh,
so
really?
I am now,
Congratulations.
I am now actually an official lifesaver. But in the process, having that laser focus, I got 2 stitches in my lip from having a wipeout with the board. But it didn't...
Sounds painful.
It didn't portray me. So I literally got back on the board and just kept giving it a go until I got there and I passed.
I feel like you've embraced the Australian dream.
Yes, although I probably need a few more expert lifesavers with me if you come down to Cronulla Beach, just in case.
Maybe you're going to have an army of Downer people, who now would want to do life saving again. So
maybe. And I think, I did put that in the Downer Digital All Hands, and it wasn't about my personal journey, but it was more about, owning it, making sure that you're doing something that you think is going to push you. And I'm not saying I'm going to be great at life saving, but, I'm at least giving something a go that takes me out of my comfort zone. And I think, in any point in your life, they're the types of things that you need to be doing.
You are training for the London Marathon next year.
Yes.
Are you listening to any music during training?
I do listen to music, yes. Mm-hmm. My daughter has created this playlist for me, although I must admit, since I've been doing my my surfing training, I haven't done much marathon training, so that's actually kicking off this week. Mm-hmm. So I've got to do about 40 to 60 kilometres a week, so that'll be something that keeps me fit over the Christmas period. I was asked about my song for this podcast, and I think given that my theme for the podcast is about good to great, my song is by Marvin Gaye, ain't no mountain high enough.
Ooh, very nice.
And so it's really kind of about how do you keep running and how do you keep striving? And, you know, any person or organization, there should never be a top point, right? You should always be constantly striving to constantly disrupt yourself. Because if you don't disrupt yourself, then another organization or industry will. So how do we keep running and really striving?
So on that point, the digital transformation is a big theme at Downer. What benefits do you see that bringing, and how we measure those benefits?
Digital transformation, from my perspective, is an enabler of business transformation. So when I see digital transformations be successful, it's when we're really clear on the organisation's vision and strategy, and that the digital transformation is enabling the business to be able to deliver. So how do we make that successful? So any single project from a technology perspective that Downer Digital is working on, and that's also with the heads of IT and the business units, is actually just enabling either the business unit strategy or the corporate strategy. And I think for me, success is about those projects being really clear on the interdependencies, making sure that we've got the right roadmap and the right amount of funding. But most importantly, what makes it successful is having the right people. And often organisations make the mistake of giving people transformation projects as part of their day job. And, you know, if we're talking about laser focus, then we can't be laser focused on two things at the same time. So for me, success is about having the right people doing the right work.
Let's talk a little bit about data, because that's really focused to or connected to the transformation and the digital transformation. So how do you think that managing better data can help simplify our job and deliver better outcomes for our customers?
For all organisations, data is the key to the competitive advantage. And so for us in Downer, we've got 3 horizon view of what we're doing from a data perspective. And some business units are further forward than others. So one of our BU CIOs, Darren Hungerford, in the XD&A business, as you would all know, has been doing some amazing things with predictive analytics in Train DNA. But for the majority of Downer, it's about us making sure that we've all got all of our data in the one place. So that's our starting point. We're consolidating it all into the one data hub. And then once we've got all the data into one spot, it's about making sure that we're really clear on the value drivers of the organisation and that we're measuring the right KPIs, both leading and lagging. And so we'll be supporting the business to make sure we've got the right dashboards for people to make decisions. And then once we've done that, then the next step is really focusing on how we use predictive analytics. So we use machine learning and AI to take all our historical data and add other big data sets to it. Specifically in the front line, things such as weather data are always helpful to add to condition data so that we can predict in the future when we should be doing work, what type of work, and how we can optimize our resources to deliver for our customers.
And that's interesting because the title of our podcast is The Downer Difference. So do you think data will make the difference for Downer?
Absolutely. I think data makes the difference for any organisation. I think organisations need to be really clear on what is their competitive advantage. And ours is obviously serving our customers with all of our amazing people on the front line. But for our people on the front line to be able to do their jobs properly, they need the right data in their hands at the right time to be able to do their jobs. And so it's our job in Downer Digital to make sure that they get that and that they don't have to spend a lot of time trying to manipulate that data themselves. We should just be giving that to them so that they can do their jobs efficiently.
Nicola, just thinking about your role, what's the biggest myth about it or about your field of expertise?
The biggest myth about CIOs is that we're not strategic, that we focus on just short-term technology delivery.
Really?
Yeah, that's what people would say. But I see the role of a CIO as a strategic enabler to the executive team. We really need to be focusing on being curious and supporting the organisation to be really disruptive. So I spend a lot of my time in Horizon 2 and Horizon 3, really thinking about how do we start to think about initiatives that we need to start now that are going to deliver value for us in 3 to 5 years' time. And one of the reasons that I do that is because, it takes an awful lot of time to build the technology. But the flip side of that is that we really need to be looking in the future about what is possible and how do we make ourselves more efficient and effective with technology.
And if you could have any other occupation other than the one that you're in now, what would it be and why?
Any other occupation? Well, I'm quite lucky because I've had a number of different careers in my career journey. So I did start my life as an ASX listed CFO. So I've ran the financials for a trading business. And I've also lectured at university. So I've had a bit of a teaching career as well. For me, I don't know that I'd want another career, but I would really like to get some frontline experience at Downer and be able to support the delivery of one of the big major programs of work. Ooh. So if anyone's interested in having me help them on any of that, then give me a shout.
Well, I'm sure lots of people are going to hear that in Downer, though. So you've been with the business, 12 months, 18 months now?
12 months,
12 months. So what are you the most proud of?
For me, I would have to say the Downer digital team. For that team, they've been through a lot of change and transformation this year. And I would honestly say that everybody in my team owns it. We come to work every day trying to deliver the pursuit for excellence and support our customers and serve the business. And so over these last couple of months, I've had an awful lot of emails from the business thanking me for the Downer digital team going above and beyond. And for me, our customer service has to be absolutely our number one priority. And then in Downer Digital, my number one priority is our people, making sure that when they come to work every day that they're having fun, that they feel that they're being supported and that we are delivering the Downer difference.
And I suppose this reflects on one of the 3 cultural focuses of the Downer difference. We do it for our customer. You were a finalist at the recent Downer Difference Culture Awards. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, first of all, thank you to the business for nominating me in Downer Digital for Do It For Your Customers. And I was really proud of that because it means that the business see that we're turning the ship around and actually supporting the business. We work tirelessly to make sure that we're delivering things that the business needs. So we've been actively working with many of the businesses on innovation ideas that support their customers. So, for example, with the transport and infrastructure business, we've been focusing on supporting the roads business to build a digital twin. And we started that from inception with them. And it's really nice to see now that they got that approved and that their leadership team and their frontline people are actually working on the design of that at the moment. So when we actually get to deliver things that the actual end customer is going to see, then that's really, makes us really proud in Downer Digital.
Amazing. If you would have one message for people listening here or a call to action in regards to the Downer difference, what would that be?
This won't be any surprise to anybody listening in the Downer Digital team, because I will have said this multiple times on many of our podcasts. But my one piece of advice is own it. Nobody's going to do it for you, whether that's your career, you having your own laser focus, or doing your day job day to day. Don't expect anybody else is going to do it for you. You need to own it. You need to own your own outcomes. And you always need to be able to go home at the end of the day and say, did I deliver high performance in relation to what high performance means to me? Because you've got to set your own baseline and benchmark. And I think if you do that every day and you do it consistently, they say Rome's not built in a day. And I think transformation is incremental growth. And in the book Good to Great, that's what Jim Collins says as well. He said, if you deliver great every day, then you'll see the exponential impact that you have over time. So for me, it's all about owning it.
So that would be the title of our episode, right? Own it, or great every day, or
maybe owning it to being good, from good to great.
Yeah, awesome. Love it.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Nicola, for joining us today. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please tune in for the next one.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to The Down a Difference on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and be sure to share it with your colleagues.